Tim Walz was named vice president. It showed a 3-point lead for Vice President Harris in the overall, but a 50-50 tie in the battleground. So am I to read this? It's slightly outside the margin of error that popular vote, which is not how you decide a president, Kamala Harris has the slimmest of leads. But when it comes to the electoral vote, which means everything, it's as dead a heat as possible?
It is a close, tight race. That is definitely the way to describe it. It's not outside the margin of error, and let me show you why. Here's that 3-point edge that you talked about. That's national. 2 important points here, right? One is, if I were to graphically describe what the margin of error means, it means you put a range around each of these candidates' estimates. Here's one around Harris, here's one around Trump's, and what you want to see here is that there is in fact some overlap there in those ranges. That's what margin of error means. So that's one component of this, and one reason we continue to say this is a tight race. The other part of it really involves what you mentioned about the battlegrounds, Mike, and that's really important because it's great to get everybody's opinion nationally. We do it all the time because everybody matters. But it's the battlegrounds that decide the Electoral College. And one of the things that people need to emphasize is that even when Democrats get a lot of votes in, say, large states, California, New York, and may go up nationally, it's those battlegrounds, which in fact are still really tight, that are going to decide this. So individually, even state by state, whether it's Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, all the ones you know, those are all very close as well. And that's what will decide this, Mike.
All right, Anthony, let's go inside the numbers a bit. What should have the Trump campaign most concerned? What should have the Harris campaign most focused on as we go inside?
Okay. The first thing for the Harris campaign is I suspect the convention will try to maintain this enthusiasm that we've seen building in the polls since she became the likely nominee. What I mean, Mike, is this: the increasing number of Democrats who say they're going to vote. That was lagging Republicans when Joe Biden was the likely nominee, but now it's even with Republicans. That explains a lot of that polling movement. But here's something that hasn't changed, and it's important because it speaks to why Donald Trump is still even in this race, despite that increase in Democratic enthusiasm, and that is his advantages on these key issues: the economy, inflation, and the border, among some others. So right now, voters who say that, for example, inflation is a major factor in their vote are voting for Donald Trump, and a lot of them believe that if he wins, that prices will go down. A lot of them have fond memories of how they recall the economy when he was president. That's behind some of those numbers. So heading into the Democratic convention, you expect the Democrats to try to close that gap because these issues are so important to so many voters, Mike.